The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Acuma, its board of directors, its management staff, or its members. The podcast discussion presented is conversational in nature and for general information only.
Hello and welcome to Acuma's On Point Podcast, a series focused on sharing the stories of people who are making a positive impact in the credit union mortgage industry. I'm your host, Peter Benjamin.
Today's episode is being brought to you by LoanCare. LoanCare understands the critical role member satisfaction plays in building long-lasting relationships. Their digital-first approach ensures a seamless, user-friendly mortgage servicing experience that's designed for mobile convenience, so your members have access to all their important information anywhere, anytime. And by leveraging sophisticated analytics and account-based marketing, LoanCare empowers you to deliver tailored financial guidance and relevant product offers to your members throughout the life of their loan. Whether navigating interim financing, servicing home equity products, reducing operational costs, or generating new revenue, LoanCare's award-winning digital tools support effortless portfolio management across diverse mortgage types, investors, and members. Choose LoanCare as your mortgage servicer or strategic partner and committed to combining personalized convenience, advanced technology, and member loyalty to propel your business success.
Today, my guest is Nicole Poole, Vice President of Residential Lending with the Police Credit Union. Nicole, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Peter?
I am awesome. Awesome. I'm looking forward to our conversation. You're one of my favorite people in the industry.
Oh, no, you're lying.
No, I'm not. I am not.
You say that to everybody.
I know. I do.
Only to his favorites, though.
Oh,
I only say it's my favorites.
okay.
No, but you really are.
Thanks.
I hold you in high regard. When I first became president, I was blown away by a presentation that you gave with Dr. Bruce and Ian Bennett. And ever since then, I kind of sort of just followed you and been very impressed with your presence and the things that you do, at the Police Credit Union, but also, in California. I think you and I have very similar friends, and they hold you in high regard. And again, you're one of, I think, a bright spot in the credit union industry, and more credit unions kind of need to have that mindset like you do. And anyways, we'll continue to have that conversation, but I need to take a pause. I need to take a step back.
Okay.
I need to pull Justin in like I always do. Justin, the Hawk, what's the latest and greatest happening over at Acuma? And by the way, how you doing today?
I'm good, Peter. How are you?
Living the dream.
Yeah, well, that's good. Every time you say the Hawk, I think that I need to have like some kind of like caca music coming behind me.
I am actually shocked at this point in time. We are, 2 years into this thing?
Yeah.
And you haven't gotten some like sound that's like a hawk screeching like in every single time. Like yeah, exactly.
I will just say that people are very disturbed whenever I've done that to them in real life.
Oh,
Okay.
my husband just did it to me last night. That's how we talk. He was outside. I hear a caw.
Oh, yeah, mine was totally different, but
Okay.
Anyways, Acuma. What's going on with Acuma?
Yeah.
What's going on
So Acuma, we are on the back end of all of our in-person events.
We're officially a month done with the annual, right?
Yeah, it was an amazing event. It was super exciting. All of our members had a really good time. I think we have finally caught up on all of the much needed rest from the long nights leading up to annual. But it was a lot of fun, and I was super excited to see it all come together. Other than that, we have our our virtual events going on. So we have our Insight Tracks and our Fast Track webinars. Those are happening year round. We have a few more left for the year. So there's always some kind of educational content for you to take in. And then our Young Professional Network has their Q4 meeting, I think, in December. But be on the lookout for more information because it's all going to come out very soon.
There you go. And I guess what our next in-person event, even though I know we're just coming off the tail of annual, but our next in-person event, what, April, right?
That would be April. Yeah, so that's our summit. Still some information that we're working on with that. So dates are to be determined. But yeah, be on the lookout for any information coming on that around January.
Perfect. Awesome. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, Nicole. Let's kind of continue on with the conversation. Like I said, as I was saying, before I kind of, as I always have to pivot and go back to Justin for that Acuma update. More credit unions have to kind of, have that mindset like you. You have that sales mindset. You have that leadership mindset. You're focused on doing the right thing. And when I say doing the right thing, it's being genuinely who you are, open and honest, and focus on that member service, but also knowing that S word's not the bad thing. That sales word is not the bad thing. Now, before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, I always say this in the podcast. The Acuma's on Point podcast is the people piece, and we always have to dive into who we are and learn more about our guests. So the question is, who is Nicole? Okay, so that's always question number one. Who is Nicole?
Well, first, thank you for your kind words. It's very complimentary. I appreciate that. Who is Nicole? Well, part of that dynamic conversation that you said you had with Dr. Bruce, I don't know if you remember, he always talks about turn your mess into your message.
Yeah.
And I'm a little scared to do that. He's all out in the open. We call it open the kimono, right? He's just like, this is who I am. This is how I was raised.
A little too much.
I think the reason he and I are, simpatico, if you will, is I had a similar upbringing. Parents were not really there, moved around a lot, lived with a lot of different family, friends, had a lot of stuff, that would not be the way that I would raise my kids, and really had to fend for myself and learn a lot of things on my own. And then moved out when I was 15 and a half because my parents couldn't take care of us anymore. So what I learned what I could do well was work. I could work hard. I didn't mind putting in the work. I followed the rules. But I needed structure and security. I think that's what I learned. I also, not to say that I'm a complete autodidact, but I have learned a lot just by reading books. College was not for me. I've tried it. I just tried it recently in the last couple of years. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm too old. I don't need to do this. I was kind of trying to prove a point for myself. So I'm very, curious. I like to ask a lot of questions. I like the why. I really love the why. I'm a big Google fan. If I can't figure it out, I'll Google it. I'll find out. So I think it's just being, that sense of independence and having to learn how to do things myself. And when I started at the credit union, this was back in 2002. Well, prior to that, I had a lot of great mentors in my life. I've really been lucky. I've had a lot of really strong women, actually women managers, supervisors, leaders that I've learned a lot from. But yeah, starting at the credit union, I was like 6 months in, I was like, what? I don't think I can do this. I'm out. But I've learned a lot also about myself along the way working for a credit union. But who I am, I've, again, going back to working really hard, I worked really hard for a long time. And I think I derived my sense of worth in my job, in my career. And that I kind of hit a spot in a 17, 18, where I kind of hit a wall, and I had to really reframe what my priorities are. And obviously it's family, right? My family, my friends. So that's been another big learning experience for me in developing who I am, right? Is I'm not just an employee and a mom and a wife, but I have a creative side. I like to draw and paint. I like to read. I like to write. So yeah, it's discovering kind of who I am this late in life, that I don't want to go to college, even though I love learning. I'm like, not going to do that. I'm going to, so it's a constant process, right? Of discovery and self-awareness and learning your likes, dislikes, and where you want to spend your time and who you want to spend it with, where you want to spend it.
Yeah, that's a tough part, right? It's we kind of, as leaders, right? Here we are. We're leaders in this industry, we're leaders within our organization, right? We're still very much on our own individual journeys, our own individual walkabouts, trying to figure out where our own individual life paths take us, right? But it's also about where do we want to take our lives, but also who do we want to bring along with us, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's the conversation for today is how, as leaders, can we help others, whether it's the next generation, develop to the point where they're successful, right? I don't know. I don't know how we do that in a manner where our industry is successful. There's a running joke where our industry is male, pale, and stale,
Male,
right?
pale, and stale.
Right. There is that joke, right?
Yeah.
But let's take out the male, pale, aspect of it. Our industry most certainly is aging, right? So let's focus on the
Mhm.
fact that we have to focus on that next generation of leaders and executives. How do we get them to that point where they are the new leaders and they're ready to be successful? Because I think that's important. It's for credit unions. That's vital. Actually, that's essential for our success as credit unions, lenders. How do we do that, Nicole?
It's a great question because I've honestly been trying to do that for the last 20 years. And, I was put in a position where I had 6 managers in 7 years at an organization. And I did the job. I showed up every day. I did it and I did it really good, did it really well. I helped build a really great department. And I don't know why. I think when I look back, I take that responsibility on as it was my fault for not speaking up and advocating for myself. I do it for my employees, right? I do it for everybody else, but I don't. I think a lot of us don't do it for ourselves, especially women. It's really easy for my husband to go in and ask for a raise, and they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Gosh, how did you do that?" And you got that, So that's the one thing is we have to. And I'm not going to say this is a man or woman problem, but it's a confidence thing. I had imposter syndrome when they promoted me from assistant manager to manager. I'm like, I should not have this office. I should not have this job. They're going to find me out and they're going to kick me out the door. I'd been doing that job for 4 years, so it's a personal, thing. And as I said, going back to really having really great leaders, I had a lot of great leaders that pushed me into doing things that were really uncomfortable for me. I actually had one manager who I loved dearly. I even saw her recently. She goes, "You need to go do XYZ. Do you promise?" I'm like, so she would make me promise, and or she'd say things like, "This is going to make you a better manager. This is going to make you a better leader." So I've had to, again, have confidence in myself, and even when others have had it of me, did not, I just kind of didn't realize that I was capable of that. It's tough.
It is tough. So it is part of it. So I guess is that part of it? Making sure that someone just raises their hand or pushing someone in the direction where they feel confident enough where maybe safe is not the right word, or in an environment where they feel comfortable enough where they know that they have the ability to raise their hand and say either A, I need help, or 2, or B, I want to learn more, or C, help me be successful. Is that fostering that environment? Is that really all it takes, or is there more to it?
No, I think that might be part of it. But for the most part, as a leader, as a person who cares about others, is actually, spending time with people and having those conversations and bringing that out in others. I think human nature, it's hard for people to say, I need help. It's hard for people to say help. I mean, come on. I do it. I still do. I'm like, oh, I wasn't paying attention. I don't want to raise my hand and ask for help because I'm not sure. We all do it. But where I am now is where I've had, senior vice presidents and executive officers come over and ask me, how are you doing? Or come on in, let's talk, let's have a chat. What's going on? I think it's having that kind of barrier opened up by someone who, has that kind of depth of experience, so the most successful people that I've seen are have a lot of mentors, coaches. They're constantly working at it. So again, that's where I am in my life right now, is I have an executive coach. I have, Bruce helps me as an accountability coach. So there's a lot of people that I have to kind of help me push past these things. So yeah, that way I can be a better leader and mentor to my team or others.
But not everyone is as fortunate as that, right? Not everyone has that ability to have an executive coach. Not everyone has the ability to have that A-word coach. Let's say that they are someone who who wants to get into management or wants to take that next step, right? How do we get them to that point where they're taking that next step, or they're learning how to be a leader, right? Mm-hmm. You're already a vice president, right? So an executive coach makes sense for you to have, right? You partnering up with Bruce makes sense because you have that relationship, but not everyone has that luxury, right? So what resources out there?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I did, which was, was just really easy, is I reached out to someone that I worked with, a former coworker who was just dynamic, and I was like, gosh, they just kind of move her around and she just gets in there and does it. And I wanted to know more. And so I asked her if she'd have lunch with me a couple of times. And it made sense because we had a restaurant in our building, so I'm like, hey, let's just go have lunch. I want to pick your brain for an hour. Once every couple months, I knew I didn't want to take too much of her time. So there's questions that I ask my team that I try to help them kind of get out of their own way. Like, I know that not everybody wants to be a manager and wants to move up or wants to be leader. Some people are okay being in their role and just doing that day to day. Some people are aging out. They want to retire, and some people really want to take on management. And so you kind of identify those people that you're working with, and you give them opportunities, right? Give them opportunities. And I'm doing that right now with the person I've worked with off and on for over 20 years. And she's kind of followed me around, and now she's ready to take some more responsibility. And I've been handing her things and, just kind of things that aren't going to, I know they're not going to explode. If something happens, it's not going to be devastating. And coaching her and giving her feedback. And the big thing is being direct. And I have a tendency to be too direct in this industry too, especially when it's kind of, warm and soft and cuddly. And we want to make sure everybody's, like being nice to each other. And that's why I have an executive coach, because sometimes I'm too direct and I say things, that are on my mind. But I just feel like
candor's a lost article.
It is, isn't it? And I tell people, look, if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't talk to you, right? I care about you. I want you, So I think it's just taking that approach that you've got to spend time with people and talk to them and find out their likes and their dislikes and invest time in them. I mean, that's why I am where I am. I've had people that have invested in me.
I like that. So for you, you found a mentor, right? Whether that person knowingly was a mentor, acted as a mentor to you, you kind of view them as a mini mentor, right? They kind of coached you up and off to the side and kind of gave you some advice, whether it's over a cup of coffee, over some lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You looked up to them, in many ways mentored you, gave you some advice, which helps you along. And maybe it is that simple, as right. They provided you that sound knowledge to kind of push you along the way. And maybe that's all it takes. And you don't need to have that investment in an executive coach. You don't need to have that investment in a Dr. Bruce. Just reaching out to that network
mm-hmm.
that you currently have is all that you really need, because most people have some form of support system that care deeply about them,
mm-hmm.
that want to see them be successful. And I think that's one thing I love about the credit union industry, or even the mortgage industry as a whole. Even though, yes, it is across the country, it's still really small,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I could pick up the phone and call a buddy of mine who lives in Texas, and he'd give me advice on anything right now. And I do the same thing for him. Or I could call a friend of mine right now if I was back on the lending side, and they'd help me develop a loan program, right? But that's the way our industry works, right? People still want you to be successful. Maybe that's all it takes, right? Having that type of support system, that type of a network that wants you to be successful, right? But here's the problem, though, Nicole, is that younger people, we'll say the younger generation that are in our industry, do not always have the luxury of going out to build these networks, right, in our industry, right? You are fortunate enough, granted, I don't know, right? You're a great leader, and maybe you allow the younger people on staff to go to your local Curins, go to local MBA events, but not every younger professional within our organizations have that luxury, right? That tends to be reserved for the male, pale, and stale guys.
Well, I mean, I guess because I did it. I mean, yes, I've had good mentors and people believed in me, but it did take me, to have these so I love goals. I mean, I have had internal goals, for a long time. And again, credit union, not a competitive environment, not a competitive industry. You're kind of taught not to be competitive, which I disagree. And I used to set internal goals for myself. And so, that's what I'm trying to develop within people is the confidence to set out a course. I mean, I just had a friend who's been in the finance banking industry. And we've been friends for 6 years. She used to work for me, but she's been a VP. She's worked at some, big name major banks, and she kind of lost her way. And, great employee, probably one of the best employees I've ever had. You could tell her to do something, she'd do it. She called me up a couple of weeks ago and she's like, Nicole, I don't even know where to start. Okay, let's, do you have a goal? Do you have a plan? Like as simple as that. Like, I think people just get lost and they don't realize these basic fundamental, write it down kind of, solutions. I go, write it down. Where do you want to be in a month? Where do you want to be in 2 months? Where do you want to be in 3 months? So like you said, put them on a course, right? And that doesn't take a VP to do. I mean, I didn't, just because I became a VP doesn't mean I learned all of this today. This is over the course of the last 20 years, but it's also, again, going back to asking the why, being curious, investing in a career. I used to look at my job in mortgage as, I'm a loan officer. I work at a credit union. And then through events like Acuma and Curin, where I became a little bit, in WCMS, I went to Western Kingdom Management School, and there's that depth and breadth that you learn there. And it changed from, I'm a credit union person that happens to work in the lending department, right? So, that changes. So I think you just need someone or some people, to kind of help guide you or be there when you need. I always say there's people come in and out of your life for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I really, truly believe in that. There's people that just come in your life and help you out for a reason. And if you're looking for that, and that's the thing too, right, Peter? I mean, they have to be looking for that. I mean, if you've got an employee who just is not engaged, not involved, doesn't want to, it's just a paycheck, doesn't understand the credit union movement, you coach them up or you coach them out, right? I mean, I do think that not even as an industry, just overall in business, if you're a manager, there's a lot of people that lack those skills and they get promoted or they get put in these roles. And, I really think we need to do better as a collective in helping these people grow and these people manage, giving people opportunities, giving them a shot, right? Why do I need to be 55 years old to be an executive vice president? Or an on the executive team. You should want young people in there, right? You should want people that kind of challenge you and push the boundaries. And I don't know, that's just what I think.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, sometimes a fresh perspective, a new way of thinking, what the doctor ordered, right?
Yes. And if you look at some of look at Diana Dykstra. Great. Amazing woman, started as a teller. It doesn't mean that's bad, but I mean, I think there's a lot of our industry that's been here for a lot of years. And how do we give them maybe some external, influence if we're going to keep them on board? But I think new blood is good.
Not only that, it's, let's be honest, does a 60-year-old executive, can they honestly relate to a younger generation of member? And can they think like a younger generation of homebuyer? Probably not, right?
No,
me personally. Right.
We're biased. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they could have a lot of riz though.
They could have they could
Riz,
be a Riz, right?
I know what that means.
They could be a
So do we,
major.
because we had to look it up.
Listen, they could be a major alpha, and they could know exactly what it is, and who knows, right? But still, but even as I don't know if I could step back into the shoes of as a loan officer and be able to effectively look at and target 20 somethings as my target audience, right? I don't know if I could effectively do that, right? I don't know if I could relate to them, right? So you have to think about it in that fashion. Maybe a younger executive could be very good, and a younger leader within your ranks could be very good for your organization. The problem is, how do you identify that? How do you identify the right person? Nicole, how do you identify the right person within your team who's ready for that next step of, okay, this person's ready? How do you do that?
Coach for attitude, for skill.
Okay. You
Coach
look for
for
that
attitude,
person.
train for skill. And I've done it here. When I came on board here, there was a lot going on. Let's just say that. There was a lot of realignment and adjusting that I had to do. And I would give people opportunities, and I would just watch and observe and see what they did and how they responded to me or how they would interact with others. And that shows you a lot, right? And you don't have to say anything to them. But it kind of gave me a little bit of insight as to, where where they were at. And people that were in, manager roles or, maybe a leader, kind of a team lead kind of role. After talking to them, they're like, I really don't want to do this, I really want to get into, your job. Okay, well, let's take a look inside what I do every day. And then I've had actually employees go, no, I don't want to do that. So we got to be able to have these conversations with our employees. But yeah, hire for attitude, train for skill. Learned that a long time ago. Before I started in the credit union space, I was a recruiter. I did staffing for big companies in like the Petaluma, Marin County area. So lots of big Telecom Valley type businesses. And you get to know a lot of people when you interview them. They're either people that show up for work and people that don't. The ones with great attitudes that would, I really need to work. They call me, squeaky wheel gets the grease, those kind of things, where you just have to put yourself out there a little bit. I learned there's people that go to work and there's people that don't. And you hire for that attitude, and you could train for skill.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Well, we got to start pivoting to the second segment. But before we do, any final thoughts on leadership and what we as an industry, as credit unions, need to do to start developing and start thinking about the next generation of leaders?
It's such a big question. I think it's really bringing in your employees, making sure that they are engaged by talking about the why. What are we here to do? What's our primary purpose, right? And let's be real, it's not easy right now. It's very difficult, especially in lending. Volume is down. People are worried. There's, stress happening. So, it's when you kind of hunker down and you talk to your team and you're, like you said, candid, transparent, sharing information, talking about the good and the bad. We don't need to sugarcoat things. We're adults. We get it. Treating people like adults,
Mm-hmm.
and really giving your employees a channel for their voice. Like how to, like we talk about how do we know if they want to move up, or how do we know what they need? Where do they go to talk about this kind of stuff, or give feedback, or give us suggestions? Just again, that engagement, these our employees need to be our primary priority, just as important as our member.
Okay. Love it. Okay. Last question. Again, kind of going back to, the purpose of the podcast. And again, the podcast is a people piece, why we do what we do, highlighting people in our industry. And it's a question I ask everybody, but it's more so going back to you. What keeps you going? What keeps motivating you? You're just like everybody else, one foot out of the bed in the morning. What keeps you going?
I get to do interesting work with interesting people. When I interviewed with my current boss, Chris, now, I'm like, God, I really want to work for this guy. He's interesting. He's funny. He's intelligent. I could learn from him. And he had, these kind of wild visions of things to do. And at first I was a little intimidated. Oh my gosh, bringing on 2 GSEs, doing a whole new, loan origination system integration, coming into a team that had kind of worked as a mom and pop and didn't really have, the fundamentals of actual mortgage, compliance and lend. Like, whoa, this is a big job, but it's so much interesting work. And I've had to do things here at this credit union that I've never had to do in my previous 20 years of experience at the 2 huge credit unions I worked for prior, right? The $10 billion credit unions I worked for, this $1 billion credit union that I'm at now. I've done more interesting work here than I could tell you. I worked with the most interesting people. And it's, that's why I say, do interesting work with interesting people.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Nicole, it's time to transition to the second segment of our podcast. And again, where we
Jeopardy?
do sometimes we do, fun facts. Sometimes we play Jeopardy. Sometimes we do the most requested segment of dad jokes.
Oh,
yes. But yes, today we are doing Jeopardy. Now,
okay.
Because here we are, towards the end of October, or actually really, here we are, the Halloween season.
Mm-hmm.
And because, it's fall, in the middle of fall, and, it's pumpkin spice season, we're going to play a little Jeopardy called Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And again, as always, I describe it for our listeners, but you should see on your screen a standard Jeopardy board.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this one, I did not create this.
Okay. I bet you Krista did.
No, there's a website called Jeopardy Labs. There's a website.
Got it.
And you just type whatever you want in it, and people have created Jeopardy boards.
Okay.
Now, as always, I describe this for our listeners, but on my screen, and again, Nicole and Krista can see this, but on my screen is a standard Jeopardy board. Now, whoever created this created a weird Jeopardy board. The Jeopardy blocks range from 200 to 1,000 instead of the normal 100 to 100 to 500. So I think Justin will officially break his record of the lowest score ever.
I don't know. You did just call me Krista though, because you said Nicole and Krista can see this.
Sorry.
That's a new one. I've never been called Krista.
Sorry, I apologize. Anyways, all right. So the categories are fall activities, Halloween food, Thanksgiving, fall trivia, and Halloween trivia. So again, the points range anywhere from 200 to 1,000. For the sake of this Jeopardy, Nicole, you are team 1, and Justin, you are team 2.
I'm good with 100 and 200. That means I start off
100, 200. And Nicole,
yes.
For the sake of our Jeopardy, you do not have to answer what is, who is, etc.
Okay.
You just have to answer it. Now, I am a vicious scorer. If you steal and get it wrong, I take away points. So I would urge you, unless you really do know it, do not steal. Just fair warning. Okay. But because you are our guest, you get to go first.
I get to go first. Okay. Alec Trebek, I'll take Halloween food for 200.
Halloween food for 200. How do pumpkins grow?
What? How do pumpkins grow? God. From a seed on a vine in a farm?
Okay. The correct answer to how do pumpkins grow?
By the way, I don't want to steal.
On vines.
Vines. And you said vines.
I said vines.
I'm going to take it. Correct answer is vines. Good job. All right, Justin.
We're going to go with Thanksgiving for 400.
Thanksgiving for 400. A male turkey is called a...
turkey.
Male turkey is called a turkey. Correct answer is a tom or a gobbler.
Pretty sure that's not true.
Just saying. I was going to say a John. but that's not.
I was going to say a gobbler, but what do I know?
Don't all turkeys gobble though?
Nope.
Yeah. No.
I mean, they do, but
See?
sorry, Justin. Hey, it's my pleasure to take away points.
I know it is.
Ooh.
And you're not giving Nicole an option to steal here. So like I need her to steal some of these.
Sorry. I always, whenever I know he's wrong, I just go ahead and take away points.
If I want to steal, do I just say I want to
I
steal?
want to steal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like if
I'm
you're
gonna-
convinced that I'm wrong, which by the way, it's not that hard, then you just need to say I want to steal.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to stick with Halloween food and go Halloween food 600.
Halloween food for 600. What is the most popular Halloween candy?
I'll go Reese's Pieces.
I want to steal
Justin, give me your answer.
candy corn.
Candy corn
Is
and
it-
Reese's Pieces. Okay. The correct answer is chocolate.
Chocolate. Which candy corn is not?
Reese's is mostly peanut butter.
Sorry, guys.
Darn it.
You both are wrong.
Oh, no.
All right. At the end of sorry.
That's-
We're not done with 2 rounds. All right. So, Justin, you're up.
I'm gonna go with fall trivia for 1,000.
Ooh.
Trying to get back to 0 here. Come on.
Ooh.
All right. Fall trivia for 1,000. What are 4 colors of the leaves in fall?
Okay. There's probably more. I'm gonna go with orange, red, yellow, and brown.
Orange. Wait a second. I'm going to write that down. You said orange,
Yeah, go balls. Red,
red,
yellow, and brown.
yellow, brown.
Swear to God, if purple or blue are in here, I'm gonna like lose my
Oh,
mind.
God.
Nicole, are you going to steal or no?
No.
Okay.
I think
The
he's
correct-
probably onto it.
Correct answer is yellow, orange, brown, and red. Good job, Justin.
Good job, Justin.
There we go. I'm at 0.
You're back at 0.
There you go. All right.
Ooh.
All right, Nicole, you're up.
Okay. Let's do fall activities for 600.
Fall activities 600. In autumn, what do you do with your clocks?
You fall back.
Correct answer is you move the clocks
Yeah.
back. There you go.
Fall back,
All right.
spring forward.
There you go. All right, Justin.
We're gonna go with Halloween trivia for 200.
Halloween trivia 200. Halloween is celebrated
What?
on. Give me a break.
These
Halloween is celebrated on.
October 31st.
Correct answer is October 30th.
Justin, you might win today.
All right.
Oh,
We're gonna do
the only
one,
one.
This might be a record breaker.
we're gonna do one more round. One more
Okay.
round.
Ooh.
All right. Final round. At the end of 3 rounds, we have a tie game at 200. Nicole.
Okay, let's do fall activities 800.
Fall activities
Yeah.
800. What sport starts its playoffs in the beginning of fall?
Football
Justin, you want to steal?
It's baseball.
in the beginning of fall.
Nicole, I am sorry.
Oh,
The correct answer is
baseball.
baseball.
The beginning was the hint.
The beginning was the hint. Yeah.
At the end of 4 rounds.
Because we're not in fall yet.
Yeah.
At the end of 4 rounds,
Oof.
Justin is the official
Look at that,
winner
Justin.
of.
I haven't gone yet.
Oh, wait. Oh, you have not. But still, mathematically.
Yeah.
See?
There's no way I can win.
Yeah, there is.
All right, fine. Go, Justin.
I don't like it.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with fall Nope. I want Thanksgiving for 800.
What do families often talk about while having Thanksgiving dinner? Give me a break.
I'm going to steal. Politics.
What they're thankful for.
Politics. The correct answer is
Ah!
things they're thankful for.
All
I
right.
lose.
Good job, Justin.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
I'm.
Good job, Justin.
I
Look.
hate that. I hate that you won this one.
I know, me too.
What?
Really.
I
Why?
I
You should
really
be proud.
Like it. I really.
Oh
like
no,
when
I
he
am proud.
loses.
You're my third victor
I really like when he loses.
or fourth. I don't know. I
Aw.
lose count at 3.
All right.
See, Justin, Peter's not being a very good leader if he's telling you he wants to see you lose.
Well, he's just holding me accountable for losing.
Got it. Okay.
All All right. At the end of 4 rounds, we have Nicole with negative 600. I'm sorry, Nicole.
Yeah.
And Justin in the lead or winning with a score of 1,800. Congratulations, Justin.
Congratulations,
You win.
Thank you so much.
You win this episode of Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice Jeopardy.
This is great.
Congratulations.
This is great stuff.
There's
Congratulations.
no pumpkin spice questions, by the way.
I know. I was actually really disappointed because I actually typed in Pumpkin Spice Jeopardy.
Mm.
I'm really disappointed. Anyways, Nicole, thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
I appreciate the
awesome.
laughs. Yeah, it was nice to see your faces and
You too. You too.
have conversations. Yeah.
Of course. Of course. And Justin, thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right. And we'll close out.
Bye.
Thank you again to Lone Care for sponsoring today's episode. And to all of you, we know your time is valuable. Thank you for tuning into the latest episode of Acuma's On Point Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, be well, my friends.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time at the Acuma On Point podcast. If not already, be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. For more great episodes and information, be sure to visit us online at acuma.org. And to get the latest updates, head over to our LinkedIn page.